Okay, good morning, everybody. We are live.
So, welcome back to another Food Systems in Season. We are on episode 2 of the spring season. We are excited to have two new folks with us today. Well, of course, we have Dr. Bill Lester and myself, Wendy Lynch. And then I'm going to turn it over to Prissy.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Prissy Fletcher. I am the St. Johns County Commercial Agriculture Extension Agent.
And Lisa?
Hi, everybody. I'm Lisa Sanderson. I'm the Residential Horticulture Extension Agent in Sumter County.
And we're really excited to have you guys here today. We have all things food systems today. So we're going to be talking first a little bit about some of our 4-H youth development programs that are in food systems. And we're going to highlight a potato project first. And then we're going to move in. Lisa's going to be sharing all about food waste. And then we are going to shift to our final project highlight for the 4-H Youth Development Program for the Berry Project. So without further ado, let's go ahead and move into our potato project.
Okay, I think we're having some sound problems there. So
what we can do, Bill, is we can go ahead and just post that video separate or edit it back in with our sound. So thanks for hanging in there with us, you guys, on the potato project. So Lisa, if you want to join us and go ahead and give an introduction to your section, that would be great.
Okay, so part of the reason that I did the video that I'm getting ready to show and then the publication that will end up being posted for you all is because we all have problems with food waste. And so I know that I go to my refrigerator, I get very busy with extension, and lo and behold, you find that you have left things behind that you should have probably used. So there are other things you can do to stave off some food waste and use some of the things that you have cut apart and use some of those extras to grow things. So this is what the video is about, and maybe you'll try some of these things as a gardener with some of your leftovers.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. And if you guys didn't tune in to the first season, and for winter vegetables, go back to session 1. We talked a little bit about food waste toward the end of the video and how to use the broccoli stem to reduce your food waste. So as Bill's pulling this up, we will hopefully, here's hoping there's sound on this one. So thanks for hanging in there with us, y'all.
okay, guys, looks like we're having some serious technical difficulties today with the videos. Normally they work pretty well.
Yeah, we even tested it prior to
Yeah, and I had checked it before. You know, we uploaded it to make sure all the sound worked and everything. So
no, it was good. We tested it this morning. It's just a setting on our end. So if y'all are willing to hang in there with us for a few to give it another test, that would be great. And if not, we can share it.
You know, I do know that we have one video here that's going to work because it was preloaded.
All right, let's give it a go.
Okay.
Here in St. Johns County, the 4-H Berry Project is an all-time favorite for our youth. Let's take a closer look at what the project involves.
According to the U.S. Census, 76% of St. Johns County's population is urban, so many of these youth have not had an opportunity to grow their own food and see that process from farm to table. Throughout the year, youth attend 8 meetings, many of which are held here in the auditorium at the St. Johns County Extension Office. At the first meeting of the year, youth receive blueberry plants and strawberry plugs that they will grow in containers throughout the project. Upon receiving their plants, youth are informed about the difference in plant varieties and things to be mindful of through the season. Using an irrigation sample brought from home, youth learn how to test their sample to determine the pH levels so they can decide what components they need to add into their soil to create the proper acidic environment for their berries. With the help of volunteers and agents, members created their own soil mixture and learned how to properly place their plants into the containers. As the year continues, youth learn about a variety of different topics at each meeting, including plant parts, pollinators, pest and garden management, and insect identification. Youth also got to bring their berries to the table by learning about the nutrition properties of berries and making healthy berry recipes to take home. They even got to bring out their creative side and decorate pots with instruction from a local artist. Each year, we like to take the project members to places where they can be immersed in a real-world growing operation. These experiences include visiting the Hastings Agricultural Extension Center, where youth had hands-on opportunities to see established rabbit-eye blueberry bushes up close. During their visit, youth learned about the different diseases to watch for and even got to try their hand at different pruning techniques. The other field experience we incorporate into the project is a visit to Clay Ranch Berry Farm, which is a local U-Pick farm. Here, youth have an opportunity to speak with industry professionals and learn the characteristics of a successful berry operation. They also get to take home a big bucket of blueberries for snacking. Our youth find it hard to pick out what their favorite thing about the project is, but here are a few things they wanted to share with you.
Favorite thing about the berry project is planting the plants because I like playing in the dirt and blueberries are my favorite.
The different berry nutritions.
I think producing the berries and learning more about the berries and insects and everything.
Meeting new friends, homegrown blueberries.
Since the youth are growing their own berries at home, just like any grower, they certainly encountered their fair share of challenges too.
Biggest challenge is keeping the animals out of the berries.
Learning about the insects. Don't overwater your blueberry too much.
Well, when they were dying, I noticed that I need to give them water. And then after I gave them water, I kept making sure they were watered. And then they came back to life.
The skills our youth learn by participating in the Berry Project are ones they will carry throughout the rest of their lives.
I think projects like this are important so kids like us can learn how to plant blueberries when they're older, and so they know when to water them and stuff.
You can use the knowledge that you learn in the future.
It's fun.
Overall, the 4-H Berry Project enables our youth to develop important life skills such as responsibility, record keeping, decision making, problem solving, and goal setting. These life skills will prepare our youth for their transition to adulthood and allow them to develop the competencies they need to become caring and capable citizens.
Awesome.
That was great, Prissy. I saw you in that video too, growing blueberries.
Thank you, Bill. We had fun out there. We love getting our hands dirty and pruning bushes, or maybe we just like working with sharp objects. I don't know, but there was a lot of fun, a lot of safety demonstration on that day, so it was great.
Good. Yeah, I know we do a lot of youth programming here, and working with the kids is a lot of fun. I've never tried growing a crop with them though. How many kids did you have involved in the program?
This past year we had 10. When we first started, actually this is back when I was in Putnam with Wendy, we needed a low-cost youth project because with Putnam County being one of the poorest in the state, a lot of the youth wanted to participate in the fair, but not everyone could afford to raise a steer, for example, or have the space. So we were trying to find something that was really economical and something that was fun and easy to do at home. So we started with 6 kids our first year, and then we expanded up to 20, and then after COVID, we had to come back down and limit our sizes, but we hope to continue to grow again. But it's nice this project's continuing in Putnam, St. John's, and now in Brevard County. So I'm really excited to see other folks find this very adoptable. And it was easy even during COVID. They were already growing their plants from home anyway. So instead of showcasing them at the fair, we had a virtual contest, and we actually let the local blueberry farmer judge the plants. So it ended up being really fun. So it's something that's really inexpensive, and they get the satisfaction of having something that actually produces an edible crop that season. So that was also important, that we were picking something that wouldn't take several years before they could get the gratification of eating something off of it.
And it teaches kids all about food systems also, and gives them an idea where their food comes from. I know not all children know where their food comes from. They think that they kind of build it in the back room of Publix, or it magically appears. They're kind of amazed when you show them that carrots actually grow underground in the dirt. They're like, oh, I never knew that.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, because of the way like you say, the way we purchase some of these clamshells at the grocery store, a lot of them don't realize, that strawberries are a low growing herbaceous plant. It's not a big shrub, it's not a tree. And it's fun to pick, especially on the blueberry farm. So giving them, like you said, to see where that food is coming from, and also appreciation for things that are hand harvested. So understanding, this field has to be picked by someone before it can get to those grocery shelves. But also having great agents like Wendy to work with me to add in the nutritional component so that they can understand not just fresh value, but also how can I make this into a healthy food source. So it's really great to be able to connect all ends of the spectrum and then highlight a local farm on top of that, so they can understand the significance of this isn't just crops that we thought would be fun, but it's significant to our area.
The other thing that I thought was really great was the idea that they were all out there with pruners and the smaller loppers, because I think that when you start giving kids sharp tools, you always wonder what they're going to do with them. But the fact that you're teaching them to do something to help make a crop better, so that when they're having something that might be a healthier plant to harvest from, I think that's awesome that they did that.
Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, it took a lot of trust having sharp objects involved. So we were in the conference room prior to our pruning exercise, where we were talking about using different tools for different situations, and also safety. We don't run around, get excited when we have sharp objects in our hands, and also sanitation, having rubbing alcohol handy so we don't vector diseases from one plant to another, and then discussing how not just insects but humans can vector diseases. So another reason why we want to be really safe and be very sanitary when we're using these sharp objects, not to just protect ourselves, but protect the health of the plant.
Yeah, I know sometimes teaching adults that is a little difficult. And PJ has a really good point here. She said a lot of kids don't have rides to where things happen. Their families don't have the money to go out and buy all these plants and purchase fruit trees and everything else. So they're the ones who can really use these kind of projects.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's one of the great things about being with our extension. We're very we get to network with our community, with our private industry. So whenever you're asking a nursery for help and you tell them it's part of a youth project, they're even more excited to be involved, and also understand the significance of finding something that's low maintenance so that we can make them feel good about it. So it's nice to be able to have those inputs and that assistance. And like she said, we have those connections. We can provide those plants. So some of these nurseries will maybe only sell to you if you're buying by, the 1,000 of strawberry plugs, for example, and these kids only need, a couple. So it's nice that we can provide that service as well and get something that may not be retail available.
Yes, we've had the same thing over here in Hernando County, working with growers, because when they buy strawberries, they buy, thousands at a time. And we work with a couple growers that are kind enough to go ahead and give us, 10 or 20 or 50 or 100 for a youth project. And we have another project where we work with disabled adults. and we're able to get strawberries for them every year and have them grow them and
Nice.
enjoy them. And of course, everybody likes strawberries, so that's
Yeah.
always a hit.
That's fantastic. Yes.
So very true. And before we move on to food waste, I don't know, Prissy, if you wanted to speak at all about the pumpkin project, just even though I know they're not in season, but just a little bit about what happened last year. And it was really cool. A lot of the youth that you saw in the video for the berry project actually helped us out at the farmers market. So
Yeah, absolutely. So the berry project we've had going for 5-6 years now, but the pumpkin project is something brand spanking new. So with our Hastings Agriculture and Education Center, we have grant funds that we can utilize for demonstrations through the county, and one of those is a pumpkin variety trial that I had started 2 years ago, mostly for the sake of incorporating edible pumpkins for local chefs and small markets. And it became such a great amount of truly fun, not just for myself, but the farm staff, because it was something new. It's something we hadn't tried before. And it was just a fun rotation for us because when potato season wraps up in June, we just have the sorghum sudan grass cover crops out there for the most part. So we were looking for an activity to keep us busy in the summertime, also that could align with 4-H summer camps. But also we were trying to find another rotation for small farmers to include as a potential cash crop on top of being a cover crop. So we started with 6 varieties, and then it grew, and we decided, since we figured we have a hand on how to grow pumpkins in Northeast Florida, which pumpkins in Florida is not easy. Let me put that little disclaimer. Pumpkin production should be something that you aim for, but start simple. If you're new to gardening in Florida in general, start with your radish, let pumpkin be a later goal. But with that said, at our research farm, we were able to successfully grow now up to 12 varieties, and we incorporate a 4-H project. So this past year, Allie and I had 5 youth sign up, and they were able to go out to the farm, and they were actually harvesting the pumpkins themselves by variety. And then they were taking them back to the barn to help us do weights and counts by variety. And all the information that they collected themselves was used part in our data collection. So the yields that we collected, they actually did all the counting for us for that day. So they were part of a legitimate variety trial. And after that visit, we went to the farmers market. So myself and Wendy, and we had 3 of our youth take one of each pumpkin variety, and they were presented on a beautiful display table that we created for the public to see every variety and every name. And we got their feedback. What is your fan favorite, just by visuals, like as you're passing by, what pumpkin had the most curb appeal, I guess you would say. So the youth helped us tally the favorites, which ended up being a pink pumpkin named Porcelain Doll. So that was fun for them to learn about marketing. It's important. Just growing a plant's great, but if you can't sell it, well, that's kind of a big chunk of your strategy if you're going to make a profit as a farmer. So them learning how to engage with the public and ask questions, and even find quirky ways to market the pumpkins, not just for edible, but talking about using them as decorations on a table. So they got pretty cute and unique with their marketing strategies, but they also did fundraising. So our pumpkin stand unfortunately got rained out, but we were able to do some fundraising as well. And we got almost $400 that we were able to use for next season, so that it can be even cheaper for the next round of youth that want to sign up. But it was a lot of fun. And again, the hand harvesting of the berries, same with the pumpkins. When a 30-pound pumpkin is really fun, exciting to pick up the first time. But by the time you get to pumpkin number 30 and 40, your back's hurting. It's exhausting. And the kids, even though we were all having a blast, they were still physically whooped at the end of the day. But that was also part of the goal, for them to appreciate where our produce comes from, that people have to physically go out there and get it. Not everything has a mechanical harvesting option. So giving them that gratitude and also the fun of being able to grow those pumpkins was just a blast. So even though pumpkins are not relatively in season right now, we'll be planting them again in July. So hopefully that'll be part of one of our upcoming webinars too. And for anyone in St. Johns County that wants to sign up, that project's open to the public. So let us know if you're interested.
Okay, great.
And Bill, I have to say, I love that the hard work paid off because, I'm all about health and wellness. And so being out there in the field lifting is, it's physical activity. And then also when we were at the farmer's market, we went so far as to hold the pumpkins and do some squats. So you just never know where you can incorporate physical activity throughout the day.
Okay, Wendy, I think you're going to talk with Lisa about food waste.
That sounds great. So
we do have something to share here. Let me go ahead and pull it up.
Awesome. So Lisa, we're going to look at your handout that we can explain. And what we'll have to do is go back and actually post your video separate. Sure.
All right. So when the video eventually shows, wherever it shows, the thing that I wanted to have people try is to save some of those things. So I did a whole list here of things they could try in their kitchen. So if they're, preparing something with green onions or leeks, for example, they would treat those the same way. You can actually sometimes find these things that already have roots on them. So when you're getting ready to purchase green onions, you can look for those ones that actually look really healthy, not something that's been there for a long time. And then what you would do is that when you do the cutting, now typically some of the recipes I've used you're using the green onion part, but the white part, but I like to save that because what you can do is that you can actually pop those in water and save them until you can plant them outside. And so this is just a great opportunity to have, let me turn my volume down. My phone is ringing. Okay, there we go. All right, so taking these and saving them, pop them in water while you're doing all the rest of the things in your kitchen. And if you have time to plant those outside, if they already have roots, you can do that. You can grow them in your kitchen in a container. You can leave them in the water for a while and let them go ahead and root. And so there's those green onions. You can also do celery. So if you're doing a celery that, you're going to maybe take with you or use in a recipe, it comes with that chunk at the end of it that used to be growing and had all the roots. And so you can still do that. So what you would do is you would cut off the celery and then at the bottom where you have that, you can set that in water or set it just above water so it touches it, and then roots will end up developing and you can actually grow that out in your garden. You do need to pay attention to timing because some things that you may be preparing may not be something that you want to grow in your garden during that season, which means you could try and grow them inside where things might be a little bit cooler because gardening in Florida is a little bit different. But there are also all sorts of other things like shallots and onions. And so if you have that last little piece of a shallot or an onion that has the roots that are already kind of there or where the roots would come from, you can set those in water and they will root along with lettuce. And so any kind of lettuce, so if you're looking at red lettuce, green lettuce, or you're contemplating romaine, any of those, if you buy the whole plant at the grocery store, that still has that opportunity at the bottom where you would cut that off to use for your salad and you have this thing left over, that is something that you could root. And you could take that and pop it in water, let it start, put it in a place if it's suitable outside, and so that it will start to grow more lettuce. And you can harvest not just the whole plant, but you can start pulling leaves off and have that plant last longer. You're growing celery from a stump. Perfect. That is awesome. So I'm glad to hear that you're doing that. That is, to me, that's kind of fun to see what celery looks like. And we just had a meeting with the Master Gardener Volunteers where he had done that, I think, and gave it away to one of the Master Gardener Volunteers in one of our meetings that I think they had been grown. So that's awesome. And then if you like garlic, Yeah, and I tend to buy a little too much garlic. And so if you find that that's the case, you could actually take some of those individual cloves, open up that whole head, take individual cloves, and then go through and put those individual cloves. You can plant them outside. If the season is right, you may plant them in containers if you want to do that. If you don't have lots of space to garden, you can garden in containers. So anywhere that you may be able to put a large container, you can always put those in there as well. Now, a comparison of two things, potatoes and sweet potatoes. Everybody thinks they're potatoes, but they're not. So potatoes are actually modified stems, and those modified stems if you've ever left a potato kind of hanging out too long and all of a sudden it looks like things are starting to grow out, those are actually going to be stems and foliage. And so you can actually, with those potatoes, depending on whatever potato you have, a lot of times people will cut those apart and start to grow them so that you'll have the foliage come up and then in the ground and more potatoes are formed. But there's all sorts of ways to do those. So you could actually plant those in containers, and they can be very productive in containers. And the volunteers have just now planted potatoes in the garden. So this would be the season. If you find that you have some potatoes that have started to sprout in your wherever you're storing them, you could actually go ahead and plant those now. But sweet potatoes are a root. And so you can actually start with the part of the root that might still be able to grow. You can hang that over water. Roots will start to form, and then you could actually grow that. If you have a few too many and you know you're not going to eat them, you could also do that same thing with that. You can plant that in the ground. It would grow some more sweet potatoes that you might enjoy. The other thing is that pineapple. So I love to get a whole pineapple. And if you choose to try to do this, you can look for the pineapples when you're, and I'm going to hold my hands up here. If you've got a pineapple, you're going to figure out what the top is doing. And so if the top is wobbly, don't get that one. You want to get one where it's a nice firm, you're not having to wiggle it around. And when you go to cut your pineapple and obviously take the fruit and all of that, you still have that top left, and you can root that pineapple top and grow that into another pineapple that will start to grow more pineapples. And so you could actually get more pineapple from that one pineapple. So I want to make sure that you know that if you're going to grow things, you're going to want to make sure that plants, if you're going to do them outside, most vegetables that are going to produce a fruit need to have 6 to 8 hours of sun a day. And so if they are things that are like more like lettuce and if you're doing anything else like that, that's not going to produce a fruit that you could pick. Any of those things, and most of what I've talked about here is like that, you can actually grow those in a little less sun. So if you have not so much sun, oh, yay. 10 gallons of sweet potatoes from a bag from the grocery store. Yay. So there's lots of people already doing scrap gardening. That's fantastic. So at the bottom of this handout, I have the link that will take you to the Florida Gardening Guide, or the Guide to Florida Gardening. So if you click on that, that will take you to the UF-IFAS publication on that. And this allows you to be able to evaluate the season when you might be able to grow some of those things outside that you have saved in your kitchen. So scrap gardening will allow you, as you can see from some of the other folks, that can allow you to extend those vegetables that you've purchased that hopefully you'll be cooking, because now you can grow some more. So you have this whole free garden area. You can start from the scraps that you start in your kitchen. So I'm glad to know that other people are doing it. Fantastic. Okay, so if anybody has any questions or anything, I'm glad to answer those.
Hey, Lisa. So yeah, we've got quite a few questions actually. We've got, so let me jump back to PJ's question. So when you're planting the garlic, which side goes down?
Well, if you're looking at the plant as a whole, when you're taking your cloves off, so you have obviously the clove used to be in the ground, or so in other words, there's plant that comes up from that. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the way the clove is oriented in the overall head, and that's the way that you would put that down. And so it's kind of like when you're taking cuttings from a garden, you're thinking, well, gosh, which way am I supposed to put this up? up or
Mhm.
down, and you're looking for buds, but you're going to use that head of garlic that you have as the orientation. So when you go out, you might take the whole head with you and take one off and plant it in the direction that it is in the head. So I don't know
Awesome.
if that clarifies that or not.
It did. If I can understand it, we're good.
Oh, yay.
On the planting side. The planting side for me is usually survival of the fittest. That's why I rely on you all as experts on that side of things. PJ also had a great comment and question. So, Lisa, do you have any upcoming classes that's all on food waste? And if do you have a link to register? Because PJ said, "Where is this whole class? I need to learn all of
Well, I will
this."
tell you, I do something called Morning Gardener. And so it actually is only once a month. It's the only webinar that I do. And so next month is palms. And then I can probably do something on all of that next time. And so it's something that if I come up the next month, I could do it that way. And if there's any snowbirds, because we've got a lot of those, they can still join in, even if they're, heading up north.
That's great. So how would they find you and find more information about your class?
Well, chances are I'm going to start posting it in more places because there are other people who might want to join in. And so I have a tendency to advertise in the places that I'm used to, but I can extend that so that other people can find me, like they found this.
Awesome. And so remind them what county you're in.
I'm in Sumter County.
Yeah.
So which is kind of on if you know where Orlando is and Disney and all of that, we're kind of off to the left and just a little bit north. The west side.
PJ says, "I'm ready. Sign me up."
Yay. Awesome. Okay.
So there was another question from Rick, and it said, "Lisa, how thick of a root end do you need for a celery plant, 1/2 inch or more? And how deep for the water that they sit in?"
I wish the video had shown. I would say if you're looking at celery, you really are going to cut off most of that because you want to put it in the refrigerator and save it. So if you have just enough of the plant that has the white at the bottom and the root area down there, it should be enough. And so there's some pictures that you can find online, for example, that actually show what it looks like when the plant starts to grow back up again. Because the celery itself is a petiole, which is the stalk of a leaf. So you're eating petioles when you're eating celery. So you'd be growing more petioles. More petioles and leaves. Yeah.
And okay, so thank you for that. And we will get that video posted. Hopefully it'll be on that same track or the playlist that you'll find this video on the Central District YouTube channel. And so, William, I had to tell you, I did the same thing with my sweet potatoes. I grew one, cut off the eyes, and I grew them in a bucket also. And I grew one, it was big as my laptop. So it was enormous. And I can't say that I gave it great care. So it's not good, not my wisdom and tips. It was just luck. So
well, we actually have, our horticulture show is going on right now. And so we have edible crops, but this one person thought it was an ornamental sweet potato, but it was just a regular sweet potato. And so she had brought in a regular sweet potato in a glass that had actually started to sprout at the top. So in other words, because it's a root, you end up having all this stuff come out. And so there's like this vine of sweet potato coming out all into the horticulture show from the plant that she brought in.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
So do we have any other questions in our YouTube comments? And I think we hit all the questions, but I don't know, Prissy, if you wanted to add anything, or Lisa or Bill?
Well, I know we have 10 people live here. We had 12 a little while ago, so don't want to make Prissy too nervous about too many people being on here.
All right, so let's see. Okay, PJ's got a question.
So PJ wants to know, how do we know we're getting sweet potatoes versus yams? Yams aren't nutritious. So I guess that's a question for Prissy.
Yeah, and so I'm one of you may also have the answer to this. A sweet potato is what most of us have here. So when you go to the grocery store, most of you are probably buying the sweet potatoes either in a bag, or they have some now that are individually wrapped. And a yam is a completely different beast. It's and I don't know that I've ever bought a yam. I think I've had yams when I visited another country, but I'm sure you'll probably get them at the store, but it's not, if you're thinking about baking sweet potatoes or sweet potato fries or whatever you're going to do with them, it's a completely different thing. So they're orange, and yams are a little bit different. I want to say most of them are probably white, so I'm not positive. Although I will tell you, we bought a blue sweet potato, so that might be fun to try, just to see what it does. But yeah, in terms of yams, it's just something completely different than, I don't think they're related, but they look very different compared to a sweet potato.
You very rarely see real yams at a grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a little local grocery store that carries them. I don't think I've ever really tried them. So 99 times out of 100, what you see at the grocery store is going to be a true sweet potato.
Sweet potato. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So the good news, as you guys were chatting, I'm here with Sarah Murphy here in Seminole County, and we were searching on our USDA. Is called the Food Data Central. And so you can pull up different varieties of produce and find out the nutritional value. And the good news is, for our yam, for 1 cup cubed, it does have 1,220 milligrams of potassium. So we do have some benefits from it. So good stuff. Also,
so if you don't like
dietary fiber as well, 6 grams.
So if you don't like bananas, yams would be great.
There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And William has found yams in Asian food stores. He knows some are invasive to grow here. How do you know not to start invasive plants from those yams? I know that winged yams do grow here in Florida. And I'm pretty sure winged yams, Prissy, you're going to have to help me out here. Winged yams are not native. They are technically invasive, but they don't spread far and wide. They don't cause any really big economic problems. But we do have problems with true air potato vines.
Mm-hmm.
And they get those things that look like bumpy tan potatoes on them. You can't eat them. Guys, don't even try to eat those. No matter what you do to them, you can't eat them. They're very, very alkaline, and they taste really bad.
Unless you're an air potato beetle.
Yes.
Sorry, nerd alert.
They haven't found the property behind me yet. So the people behind me have air potato, and I have to keep getting rid of it on my property. But anyway, I'm looking to see.
And UF acquired the lead of the biological control program for the air potato beetle. So Dr. Krause is with IFAS now. So our biological control expert for that invasive species is on our team. Yay!
Yes, she is. And the two of us here, I'm going to put this in the chat also. Be sure to look up the Air Potato Patrol online. That's a citizen science program that I helped to create. And Emily and I ran it for the last couple of years while she was with FDAX. She's now with UF, but we're still writing a research paper on it that we're hoping to get published. Woo-hoo. And I'm looking forward to working with whoever takes over her position with FDAX. So
is that something that youth can get involved with also?
Sure, youth can. We are more than happy to put together some youth teaching materials on that. If any 4-H group or a school group has air potato vines growing anywhere on their property or that they know of, don't trespass. But if they know of air potato vines, you can join and you can help monitor them. Because what we do is I take care of the education part. Whoever is running the program at Florida Department of Agriculture takes care of the research part, and we send our members research questions during the year after their IRB2 approved. So in case anybody's wondering. And it really helps out both us here at Extension and people of Florida Department of Agriculture that are tracking the beetles. They're trying to find out how well they overwinter in different parts of the state. So it's a real win-win program. And we have somewhere between 500 and 600 volunteers in the Southeast US. We have people here from here in Florida all the way over to Houston. And it's a very, very fun program for me. So look up Air Potato Patrol online and visit our website and sign up and join in.
You know, Prissy, that reminds me, in Putnam County, they had the 4-H group doing the air potato rodeo at the Ravine Gardens. I remember that was one of their projects. So kind of a cool aspect in the world of food systems. So
For sure, absolutely. And Bill, they when my last year when I was in Putnam, and I can't take credit for this, it was just a marker, but I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago. Is what Wendy's speaking at Ravine Gardens. They were averaging about 2,000 pounds of the air potatoes that they were collecting, and then after releasing the beetles, they got down to harvesting like 50 pounds. So that was a really successful program that deserves a lot of bragging rights. So more power to you.
Exactly. And we found that that's something that a lot of beetles feeding on the air potato vines do. They weaken the vines, and now they don't make as many of the bulbils or the potatoes. And up there in Gainesville, where they have to grow a lot of air potato to be able to raise, I can't remember how many they raised last year, a couple 100,000 beetles. It takes a lot of air potato vines, and it takes a lot of bulbils. And even they have problems finding enough of them every year to plant to raise the beetles. So yeah, it is a very successful program. Everybody likes air potato beetles too. They're very pretty. So it's a pretty beetle.
well, thank you all for being here today. And Lisa, we will get that video posted along with the other 4-H youth development project for Crystal Macasio. And we thank you guys for being here, your engagement and your questions. And we hope that you will go on to the YouTube Central District channel and check out those videos as we get those posted. And with that, we will see you next week. We are talking a little bit about gardening and mindfulness in the garden and all that's involved with that when Tara Freeman will be presenting, as well as myself. So we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you guys for being here.
Thanks for having
Thanks for
us.
tuning in, everybody.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.